I don't remember. I was trying to think when I came around here which one it was. If it was going this way, it went south, had been out.
Andrew, I'm gonna shut both doors.
Can you leave them cracked about 1 inch?
Really? Okay.
Closing them sets off the lights.
Oh, gotcha.
It turns it on the timer, and I've been doing interviews, and halfway through the interview, it just slowly starts to get dark over about 10 minutes, and you're like, am I losing my mind? And then I finally figured out that by closing the doors, it sets off the lights. So if you don't mind, I'm going to actually scoot you guys together just a little bit more.
Oh, we haven't set that close since the ball game. Or Ohio State Stadium.
It's one of those where it feels awkward in person, but on camera it looks completely natural, so it's hard to explain to people.
Oh, yeah. You keep telling us.
And if nothing else, it'll just bring you closer together.
Horse shit long, fast, don't shit long either. That was the old Hootie Orr's statement, was one of the early firefighters. He'd get drunk and come up with all kinds of stuff.
All right. Well, I think,
Now just don't raise up and hit that.
yeah. I think the long and short of this
Get
today
a piece of 2.5, cut, an old one, and cut a piece and run it from one to the other.
I tell you what,
Just make a U out of it, so when you bump it, you don't hit your head.
we protect these things so much these days that I don't even think anybody will have a chance to bump it because we don't let people walk by it.
But that's the way to guard it.
2.5?
Yeah, 2.5, 2.5 fits on it, I know that.
I like that.
I don't know if the 2 inches fit on there or not.
We're just
They
getting
didn't
back.
have 2 inch when I was around.
I say we're just getting back into the 2 inch now. We went away. We went away from the 2.5 or 2 inch, or we just never had it. But
I bought fabric, 1 inch. That's what came on it.
He's the sign of the firehouse where he sleeps underneath all that water.
I'm in 95.
Water World,
I am indeed.
I've heard them call, I stopped in there once.
Yeah,
So I
come on
could
in.
see
We'll
it.
get you a cup of coffee.
I did, I stopped and got, so one of the guys in class told me to stop, so
Yeah. All right. I think we're set up.
you abandoned the slide, didn't you?
No, we still have the
Or
sign.
did you? 'Cause
Yeah.
I knew at that time they weren't using it much because too many guys had gotten hurt.
A lot of us do. And it doesn't help that people put like Pam.
I mean, what they should have done was taken a pole to one floor, gone over and taken another floor down.
That was apparently the other option.
Yeah.
But the vertical drop was too much to create a platform, so they decided slide was the best solution.
Oh, there wasn't any in between?
You had to make 2 poles with a platform, or
Right.
so.
You used to put about that much foam rubber at the bottom, so when you catch it, I hit one once, 'cause in the middle of the night, and been running like 20 runs that day, and just grabbed a pole, forgot to hook my legs around it, I just had an arm on it. Hit that thing, and the guy above me said, "Get the hell out of the way." I was stunned. Still asleep, probably.
I'll say I appreciate the slide because it wakes me up before I get to the truck.
Yeah.
So, so I met you last time, so we'll spend a little time just going over
That's
his
fine.
basics.
That's
and then, in his story. If you do me a favor and just introduce yourself to the camera and give me your name, birthday, and your years of service. If you can do that.
Yeah, I think I can.
You just talk to me and then.
Oh, you're ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was gonna tell me action or something.
No.
I'm Gary Termeer. I was born August 15th, 1937, same year this apparatus was purchased and started the fire department. And I was part paid from, I don't call it volunteer, because a volunteer only gets $1 a year by code. And I was from 55 to 68, and then come back as fire chief in 71 to 76.
Okay. 65 to 68, huh?
55 to 68.
55 to 68.
Okay.
So you would have come in during Chief Shriver's time?
Right.
Okay. I just spent last night going through all of Chief Moffat's personal scrapbook.
I'd love to see this one.
And I will love to sit down with you guys and go through it all. I didn't bring it with me today,
That's all
but
right.
I have some.
I'd be careful with it.
Yeah, it's falling apart. So what I did is I took pictures of it and I put them online, so I can pull it up on my computer
you
for you
go.
and show you, just for the everyday mobile thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and you got a permanent copy.
yeah, yeah. So heard your version last day. Tell me about your father.
Well, he was one of the first 3 officers, and was one of the ones that helped organize the department, because when my mom and dad was married just less than a year, the big house that stood at 25 South High Street caught on fire, and they lost everything they had. My grandfather threw a china chest out the window and carried a mattress down the stairs. That's the things that they do. And 19s was the closest fire engine, and it responded and tried to draft off the old bridge, which was the metal one. And of course, that was too high to draft, so that didn't work. But basically, they helped save the 2 buildings.
Do you have any idea what year that would have been?
24, I think.
26.
26, was it?
Yeah.
So they've been right over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I go back and try to find a newspaper article, was it early or late in the year, would you say?
No idea.
Okay, that's fine.
I have no, I never even, I don't think I ever heard the
Okay.
date of it.
So you were born the year that we started the service. What is your earliest memory?
Well, there's a picture of me sitting on the front bumper of this thing, or the front fender, and I was about 3 years old. So I guess I took it, using it as a toothing ring. I took it, got kind of interested then, and then I remember when I could barely reach, I'd go out and open the back door and get his coat ready for him when Dad went out the door.
So you would hand him his bunker coat on the way out.
Or his squad coat, whichever one.
So that's got to be after 44.
Yeah,
Because going out the door is who you're talking about, going out
the
the
back door,
firehouse.
yeah. That had to be after 44 when they built the station.
So do you remember the building of the station at all?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Oh, I can remember the one Italian stonemason that kept hollering, "More motor, Charlie, more motor." And I'd go up, I'd be around, and they'd send me down to the store to buy some pop for them to drink. And I always got one in the process, so I hung around a lot.
Now I heard a rumor that the station was actually delayed because of war rations.
Yeah, he knows more about that than I do.
Yeah, they had trouble getting materials because of the war. But in a way, they were fortunate to be able to build it when they did during the war in 44. I don't know what particular materials it was, but
Well, they didn't use any steel in it.
yeah, practically everything, was at that time was rationed. So like you said, the stone certainly wasn't rationed because there was, as you know, there was a lot of stone in Dublin. I don't know where it exactly came from, but so yes, and one of his buddies was one of the hod carriers, and the guy that mixed the cement. That must have been the guy who was running getting the pop for. But there couldn't have been very many people. Maybe there were only 2 people working on it, for all I recall.
I don't either.
But so he spent most of his time out there when he wasn't going to school, and when they were building that building.
Tell me what you two remember about the dedication of the fire department, or the fire station.
A lot of people.
I don't remember it at
I
all.
don't either.
Okay.
I think was Lausche governor,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he showed up
and
because
yeah.
Mom and Dad always voted for him because he came to Dublin for that.
I think that was probably his first term, and I don't know what month it was. I don't even know if we still got a program of that or not.
I had some, but I don't think they got moved.
You do have
I
a,
either have one or have a digital copy of it.
okay, so you do have one.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. What was it like to respond at a 37 West Bridge? Because a gentleman like me will never get to do that.
Well, I mean, it's a shame they sold it. They didn't keep it for present. They could have an engine, a squadron out there if they kept it. But there was some faults to it because the wooden trusses that held the roof up actually broke once and separated. And part of it was probably because they built a big tank up in there for water. And you just put back up underneath it and dump the water in, and it'd take a couple of days for the pump to fill it back up. And that extra weight actually broke at one of the gusset points and pulled apart. So they had to go in there, cut a hole in the ceiling and repair it. And when they built the block part on the back, when the trusses came through, or the bar joists is what they were, when they came through, they were 2 or 4 inches too short. And they're only setting on about an inch on each side of the wall. If the wall moves, those will drop. Because the architect decided to go ahead and set them. He didn't want to wait to get other ones made.
Interesting.
It was his design, or the structural engineer's design, that made them too short. Because, you know, the 8-inch blocks, so they were supposed to set on 4 inches, and they only set a little less than 2 inches.
Sure.
That's why that floor used to do this. That was all one room, and the
When
floor.
several people would walk across that second story
Yeah.
on the floor, you could feel
movement.
like it was supposed to, but I'm not so sure that it was.
They weren't bar joists. They were precast T-beams. That's
Okay.
what they were, with the post-tension concrete in them.
And they cut them short, huh? Excuse me. Tell me about, do you remember, did you guys chase fire runs at all with your father? I know that Sue Wines mentioned she went with Chief Moffett.
Yeah, when I got older, I did. I mean,
What ones do you remember?
the train wreck in Hilliard.
I was going to ask you about that.
I remember grabbing a ride with one of the firefighters and going to Hilliard. And of course, I stood over there and didn't know how I was going to get home or nothing. But one box car had 88 millimeter shells in it. And they would back to back, one would explode and hit another one, it'd take off across through there. But the old Farm Bureau elevator, you know where the diner's at? It was on Cemetery. Behind it was the Farm Bureau elevator. And an explosion, you know, they had a dust explosion when they had the fire, it caused dust explosion in the elevator, and it actually split, and there was hunks of concrete hanging out by rebar. So they had to rebuild that. But what they did with this, they just had the old Ford in this Rio, and they took it down to draft out of one place, and they drafted it into a ditch and floated down, drafted that water out of that ditch at the other end to help fight the fire with.
Pretty slick.
Yeah.
I will say that I think you guys probably still today could outdraft us because we're in such a hydranted area that drafting is a lost art for us.
We didn't have any hydrants, so I was.
Do you remember how many days they were over there?
3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 days is what I read.
Yeah.
So I have the original pay sheets I can show you, but we were there from January 2nd. We had a 16-hour firefight, which your father was on. Everybody was on.
Yeah.
And then the next day, about 3/4 of those men went back for like another 12 hours. And I want to say an Eager and a Kaufman showed up like the last 3 hours of that second
Henry
day.
Lewis, probably. Or
Yeah.
George.
Yeah.
Kaufman.
So with that, I would just love to.
I won't say out. I'm thinking
Well, actually, no. I would love to hear what you're thinking.
it might get out.
Tell me about, like, before you get into all that, tell me about what you remember of the original cruise, because we don't have a lot of institutional
I
memories.
don't. I was too young.
But you knew those men, the Moffats,
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about those, the Kaufmans.
Well, let's see. George and Henry Lewis lived on Kaufman Road. and they stored and sold dynamite. They had a shed back where Cardinal built on the north side of Indian Run, or the west side of Indian Run, whichever way you want to say it. They had a concrete block building back there that they stored it in. And so you just knew to stay away from there when you was out messing around. Walking Indian Run or something, or swimming below the falls or at the bridge. And,
What was Chief Moffat like?
see, I didn't know him when he was at Double. I mean, knew who he was and everything, but there's some pictures of him on Fire Run, and he's got grease all over him because he's been working on cars.
He just got out of Brown's garage.
And he was a no-nonsense chief when he was at Franklin, because I worked under him.
How long did you work with him at Franklin, give or take?
Me,
Yeah.
year and a half,
Year and a half.
till Columbus called. Took a test a week apart.
Okay. How about Chief Shriver? Tell me about-
Harold was an easygoing guy. He never rushed anything. And, all right, just an all-around good guy, really.
Hey, Senior.
Of course, they ran a confectionery. We could go up there and get a soda or Sunday for a dime. And if my brothers found extra pennies, I got to get a bit larger one for 12 cents. And they were
That was always the goal. Huh?
Yeah. Dig in the couch until you found 2 pennies.
I heard a rumor and then had that confirmed 3 times since I spoke to you. So now I have it 4 sources that the gentlemen were known to be a little bit of rabble-rousers, that they could put away the ale.
some of them. Some of them put away a lot of it.
I was told, cite my sources, Jim Richards and Sue Wines both admitted that it was a well-known fact that when they fought your fire, they cleaned out your liquor cabinet.
I remember that happened once. Only it was Sacramento wine.
They called it Sacramento wine?
No, it was when the priest house burned over on Billingsley.
Billingsley.
Or Tower. It was on Tower. And Father Wellnuts, who opened St. Brendan's, that's where they lived, him and the housekeeper. And he had a fire. Somebody got in their wine. He says, "Oh, that's Sacramento wine." And he said, "Oh, that's all right. You guys are thirsty." Because he was a former fire chief. He came, I think, from Newcomerstown, was fire chief there. So he was a county chaplain for many years. In fact, I worked with him on the squad. He volunteered at Franklin Township, and I worked on the squad with him a number of times.
Any idea about when that was?
January '62 to June of '63.
Any idea when his fire was, give or take?
Yeah. In the spring of '56, because I was on my way to baseball practice